Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fourth and final episode of the Global Champions podcast that officially brings to an end the Olympic week and our coverage and reaction to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. We're coming to you live once again from Tops International Arena in the Netherlands in Valkenswaard. My name is Mark Lewis. You are joining us with your GCTV Access Pass. A reminder that every single minute of this Global Champions Series podcast has been available to you for free with your GCTV Access Pass, and we've been very excited to have you alongside us for the last 3 days and today ultimately for the final day. As usual, Frederick de Backer standing alongside me. Boy, this was quite a team final. Frederick, welcome. Have you caught your breath? Because that was dramatic. We'll unpack it, but my word, that was a dramatic end to an Olympic final.
I have a lot to say about the entire week of the Olympics, but this final was really something else.
Was it fitting of an Olympic gold medal? That's the way you want to see it handed out, right?
The final round was fitting of an Olympic gold.
All right.
I see for two sets of eyes looking at me, so please carry on and ask somebody else.
I wonder if Jos Verlooy will know about the eating the ice cream too fast thing.
He didn't. I don't think he heard it yet, but we'll ask him later.
We'll try and explain that. Jos Verlooy is on my left-hand side. Jos, thank you for joining us today. Did you enjoy what you watched today for the Olympic final?
I think it was very exciting. Everything counted, so that made it even more exciting. It wasn't finished till the last riot, till the last fence. Everything could have still went wrong on the last fence. And to watch it was very exciting. I think to ride it was very stressful today. Or there was, anyway, a lot of pressure on the riders.
I imagine an Olympic final gold medal, essentially, it's almost a six-person jump-off, despite it being a two-nation jump-off. Michael G. Duffy, well on our right-hand side here in the room. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
We speak about pressure. Jos is already picking up that, in that jump-off, Olympic gold medal on the line, clear after clear after clear, shaving second after second off. Can you imagine being in that saddle today?
Yeah, I can't imagine. I think the pressure must be just unbelievable, and I think it's one of the moments you have to be in and experience to even know what it's like. But yeah, the Swedish team delivered amazing performance from them, and I think they were the best team of the week. I think they really deserved it.
Frederick,
100%.
You are satisfied with the jump off and you are satisfied with the handing over of the medals, but you've made it quite clear this week that you have not been fully satisfied for the week. Are you in a position now where you can try and unpack your dissatisfaction with how things have played out?
It's not just, I think, not just my satisfaction. Social media and any equestrian news website has been having a rant about the format. I don't want to call my feeling a rant, but again, the second round was fantastic. Massive congratulations to Sweden, massive congratulations to Belgium, massive congratulations to United States. However, there had to be a jump off for the gold medal between a team that had their horses in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times already, where all horses had jumped clear except for one, and now they came in for the 6th time and they had to jump another jump off. And they had to jump a jump off against a team that had their horses in twice so far before this final round, and all had one fence down. So the question is, this round, America deserved to win it. Based on this round, they deserved that silver medal. However,
it's what came before that.
To get into this situation, I think it is unfair. And let me ask you the question differently. Can you imagine how you have to explain to somebody that if McLean was a little bit faster, or if just talking about times, if McLean was a little bit faster or Peder was a little bit slower, that you have to explain to somebody that Sweden did not win the gold medal? That's impossible.
Luckily, it played out the way the fairy tale script perhaps was written, unless you're an American, of course. I know Lucas Porter was excited about today, so he won't be too happy with the outcome. But Michael, let's throw it to you. Again, you can maybe sense, and I appreciate that from Frederick, you can sense the energy that's coming out from him. Is this unfair in a sense that USA can find themselves in a position where they are shaving off a gold medal based on what's happened in the week thus far?
Yeah, I'd have to say I agree with Frederick in a sense. I think the format is a little bit unfair how it goes. I think there's a lot of teams preparing for many years and one round and it's all over. But then the format is what the format is, and the Americans took advantage of it. I know McLean Ward didn't ride the the first qualifier or the individual, and he came out and he was extremely strong for the team, and his jump off round was amazing. You know, he put so much pressure on. You know, we were all sitting here calculating what Peder had to do, and I think if there was anyone else coming in the ring other than Peder, I think the Americans could have done it. So
just to be clear, I don't want to take anything away from the performance of the Americans. On the contrary, it's just
It's out there.
the discussion about the format. It's down to the format. No, Jos?
Yeah, there is for sure discussion about the format. I'm also not the biggest fan with the three riders that everything counts. Look at Japan, 3 strong riders. 1 horse got injured, 2 horses before he goes in. Country eliminated. Okay, now you're talking about the points, but it's a system, and you know from the beginning, the Olympics has always been something else. It's always been one day. It's always been the final. Before it was 2 rounds and a jump off. Now it's 1 round and a jump off. The teams was before over 2 rounds like a normal. But okay, you know the system and you know before you go. But it's like you say, I don't think it's so fair to have the result all after 1 round, after 1 day.
I think there needs to be a big debate and a very open one about how this progresses for Paris. No.
Let's start right in the beginning. Were any of you surprised or upset with the starting lineups that were available today? If we go back to what took place yesterday, to what brought us to this point, and we'll unpack it slowly.
I know where you want to go. But I just want to know from them before we go there, because what would be a fitting format for the Paris Olympics? Who wants to go first?
That, if I may add, should hopefully play to a traditionalist, because there are people, old school show jumping fans, that maybe want to see it the way you're talking about, and maybe there's a new generation that might also find interest in a more exciting format. So if you have a solution, please tell me, how do you make this applicable to all people watching show jumping?
I think the 3 riders is, for sure, it's really exciting. It's the sport we watched today was amazing. And like Jos said, until the last minute, the last jump, the last second, you don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. We've seen with France, they were going in pole position and they finished with nothing. So I think for sure that system it's exciting. But I think maybe in Paris, I'd look maybe to have the teams before the individual.
Me too.
And I think it's a little truer. It's a little more true of a championship than, you know, like you see the jump in Henrik von Eckermann done this week. Clear every round was amazing, and Peder. And I think still the individual final, it's always been in the Olympics that they start on 0, and it's like a Grand Prix. But
what was wrong with the old system?
Not so much.
Can systems not change?
The biggest. But if they would just have changed the drop scores, would have been already a lot.
Yeah, exactly, and the same system as before, just 3 riders. If they want that, I think there was nothing wrong with that system.
No.
And I also prefer first the teams and then the individual.
And just if you then go to an individual, the individual phase of these Olympics, do the points collected from the team competition get carried through in your Christmas tree Olympics?
I think it's always been on the Olympics that you start from 0. I think the Olympics is something else. Every championship, everything counts. Maybe for the Olympics they can do.
Let me ask it differently. We're here in Valkenswaard. Edwina Tops-Alexander goes to the Olympics. Does she compete as an individual in the teams? Or does she only compete in phase 2?
Then she has to compete in the because she has to qualify for the individual final.
So if the final starts on 0, which is something that you can discuss, but if the final starts on 0, she does jump round 1 and round 2 of the teams as an individual, and based on all those results, we make a cutoff. The best 30 go through to round 1 of the individuals.
And then she had more chance to get in the final.
100%, of course.
Because she gets 2 more chances.
And she gets 2 rounds instead of 1.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily that the format is missing excitement. Is the belief then that the format is missing fairness and equality for all the competitors?
Fairness and equality.
Because there's no denying it was exciting. There's no denying it was exciting.
It's very exciting, but with the 3 riders, there is positive and negative sides. The negative side is what happens like if your horse is lame. Shane Sweetenham yesterday, the horse started panicking. Normal case, you have to retire because you know you're gonna fall. You could see it after the triple combination, the vertical, that the horse was starting panicking, didn't know how to jump anymore. It was going to go wrong. Now it was actually, he fell in a good way, but for the same thing, the horse has a big injury.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all the negatives about the 3 riders. The positive side is about 3 riders. It's excitement. Anything can happen, like Penelope.
Yeah, but I agree with what you say, to be the devil's advocate, and I'll be a few times that one today.
You're very good at that.
Yeah, but if you about Sweetenham, it's the fitness, the shape, the form, the momentum of the form of that week that decides, and it wasn't there. Whether he comes through on 28 or retires is actually pretty much the same.
I think it's a tough pill to swallow for some of the riders, you know, like I feel really bad for Shane. You know, he's the ultimate professional, and for sure he's worked hard to be at the Olympic Games. But you have Bertram, Dara, they've all been working hard, and you know, just like that, you know, 4 years of work or 5 years of work is down the drain. They don't ride anymore.
Yeah. So, does that mean? What does that tell us about how? Is it more than ever? This is maybe the question. Is it more than ever becoming a team sport? Because you were playing football with 12 riders basically, because the 12th one, if he did well, it counted. If he did not well, it was on the bench. Now it's proper team sport. Now nobody hides in the team. And I don't want to go on. It's a Sweetenham result, or there's other people that got eliminated. And I feel for Dara and for Bertram. But has it now gotten to the level where, as a team member, you can't hide? You have to be responsible. Not responsible is the wrong word. You have to. You're accountable for what you do. More than ever. So
That should be the way, surely.
No room for error.
Yeah,
exactly.
And for sure, like we say in Ireland, the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
You know, there's absolutely no room for error, and it is the highest level of the sport. And yeah, maybe
So
it should be that everyone is counting, and
Everyone contributes. Everyone has a say in how things play out.
Yeah.
because I say I don't feel well about there being a jump off for goal between America and Sweden. How would you feel that that Ireland would be in that jump off with one elimination?
But I think with that system, with 3 riders, it's possible that the best team doesn't win. What if Peder Fredriksson's rein breaks before the last line and he cannot turn?
But is that not sport?
But then the best team doesn't win.
No, but the best doesn't always win. Sometimes
Should win. The best should win.
No, the best should win, but unfortunately, that isn't the way sport works. We can name a handful of international competitions.
If Usain Bolt loses his shoe in the final of the 100 meter, he's out.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah, but then it's individual.
If it happens in the 4 time
in the
100 meter relay,
yeah.
it's also the
What
case.
if let's use Usain Bolt in Jamaica as an example, because we're talking Olympics and sport now. Let's say, for example, and I know we actually addressed this yesterday about heats and the ability to start on 0. If, for example, Jamaica come to the Olympics as the favorite team in the relay, they run their heat, they finish the heat first, they run the semi-final, they qualify in first place, they come into the final in lane 4 as the favorite, and they lose by a fraction of a second, you can't deny the team that beat them because Jamaica were the best team coming in. So
Yeah, okay.
There's
No, but
nothing.
then
There's nothing that should guarantee it to them.
I think that's not a good example, because that's the same if Peder Fredriksson has the 2 last fences down, that means they weren't good enough.
But
But that wasn't losing. Then it's losing by the strength. But
Yeah.
breaking your rein, it's losing by
Yeah.
technical problems, and that's possible in our sport.
Yeah.
And about losing your shoe in a running, I think that's
I don't think Usain Bolt is going to lose.
no,
this.
exactly.
No,
That's not, I think that's not
No,
a
no,
good
no.
example.
Duplantis jumps the high jump. His pole breaks, for example. Wout van Aert goes. I don't know. I want to poke you.
That's
Um,
individual thing, and it's not.
Yeah, but
it's
if it's a team time trials or whatever, if it's a very good example, we had the Belgians. Sorry about that, guys. We had at the football we had Timothy Castagne. First game, they break in a duel. He breaks his skull. He has a skull fracture. He goes off the team. It cripples our team.
yeah,
and
but
of
the
course
new
we
one
should have
comes in, and that's not possible with our sport anymore.
It is possible.
So
in
technically
round
the
one,
f-
round two. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Oh, okay, I agree.
No,
I
that's
agree.
a good point. That's a very good point because technically the point
That's
that
what,
Jos is
that's my
making
point.
is that you should have not played anymore. then
In the doubles at the Olympics, and Serena Williams her racket breaks. No, that they lose the point. So that's a wide discussion.
yeah, but
She doesn't
she
lose the
can
match.
no,
the
but she
championship.
cannot lose a match. She can make it next point. The match is not over. You just take a new racket out of the bag and you play again.
And if it's
With
and
our sport,
and if
it's
it's match point.
Yeah, but then you get another match point. It's not both. It's not.
No. If
Then
if
you
it's
lose that match point, but you can
Yeah,
have a
but
new
if-
match
I
point.
mean,
You
if
don't
it's-
lose the game.
if it's
Today
ma-
you lose the game.
if it's
every
match
break's
point
in a-
for the other one, and or it's match point for Serena Williams, and the other one's racket breaks.
It's very unfortunate for
Yeah.
the other.
No, yeah, exactly. So it's very unfortunate for the.
But is that a fair description of how? Is it enough to say it's unfortunate that those are the rules that have been laid out? This is the format that's been put down. It's impossible to please everybody.
Because this takes us back to what was it, Jos? Barcelona.
I think they tried it once.
But in Barcelona, Ludger Beerbaum
He
and
broke his
Classic
rein.
Touch
Or
broke
the
his,
Hackamore.
his
the
Hackamore, you
Hackamore
said, no?
broke, yeah.
And he turned out to
He
be,
could still. Yeah, he could still.
and
have it.
he was Olympic champion.
Yeah, because you could choose 3 riders from the team or something
Yeah.
to
There,
jump.
there was 2 qualifiers, I
Yeah,
think. They
yeah,
had
and
the individual
he qualified,
qualifier the
yeah.
first
Yeah.
day, and then they could
Yeah.
also qualify
Yeah,
from the
exactly.
team.
But we agree that the drops. Yeah, no, you don't agree that the drop score is a good system.
but we agree
I
that
just gave my opinion.
No.
No.
Because the everything counts makes it exciting,
For
and
sure.
everything counts makes you more vulnerable.
For sure, and like I gave my opinion that it's possible that the best team doesn't win, and that your team gets eliminated for no reason. I mean,
it's
if
the
your horse
second
is
part that I buy into.
when your
it's-
horse is
yeah.
lame or he touched like Niels, for example, he loses a shoe before the individual final,
Mhm.
and let's say the horse is
Catches
injured,
itself. Yeah.
Belgium is eliminated today, while they can have a bronze medal.
Yeah, but that's of course.
And then
Ah,
and
well,
then
how far do you go on that? No. Yeah, I understand that, Jos, but
Is it possible to please everyone? No. That's the
Impossible.
problem. That's the
Listen.
problem, especially on you and I.
there's
You will never-
a Dutch saying that says we've never found a cook that can cook to the taste of all mouths.
That's it. And that maybe is
I
a
don't know
nice
how
way to.
that comes up. but
I don't know what the. Can you give us the actual Dutch sayings? That probably works out better.
Er is nog nooit een kok gevonden die kan koken naar alle monden.
Much better.
Yeah,
That was much better than
I-
the English description.
I think my mother could probably do a good job. No,
Bless you, Mrs. Duffy. Bless you, Mrs. Duffy. I want to go for it.
no.
No, I was going to a nonsense direction. You go.
Okay. Yeah, you asked the question. Are you satisfied with the lineup that we saw today for the final?
Well, now I'll accelerate
Yeah.
the question. Should Argentina have been in this final?
Yeah,
Argentina,
they qualified for
they
it.
qualified. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, they should be in it.
But
Did they qualify for it?
legally, did they make it through? Because if you recall, if anyone missed any of the action, there are probably a very large group of Egyptian fans that are very, very upset to see Argentina in this final. Argentina will claim that they were inside. Egypt will claim that they were outside.
Jumping the ball on the left side of the white flag.
But did he start on the inside and then hit the flag?
Yes, he did.
Because
If I'm not
I
mistaken.
think you can hit the flag.
No. So
We seen before Eric Lamazi won the Grand Prix in Le Bol one year. I don't know if you remember.
You jumped over the
Hickstead
standards.
jumped the wing, but
Yeah,
but he hit the flag. So
yeah.
Hitting or crossing over? Because there's a big difference.
and Hickstead jumped over
Yeah.
over the flag.
But maybe there's a rule that if one leg is in between the flags and the other legs are not, that and the jump
That's
is
it.
I
It's
don't
not
know what
about
the rules.
percentage.
I don't know really
yeah,
the
the
rules about
percentage of
that.
how much of the horse still needs to be inside.
Yeah, exactly.
So the reality is that this was again, perhaps not for Argentina, it was clear cut for them, but for Egypt, this was a very dramatic decision that cost them a spot in today's team final. So we did a great job of reaching out to Niall Nasser, a man that we know.
didn't do a great job. We did our job.
We did a great job of reaching out to Niall Nasser, a man that we know very well from the Global Champions Tour, of course, a performer here that we get the opportunity to watch on a weekly basis, part of Team Egypt, if not denying to say that, the leading charge of Team Egypt. And we reached out to him following that decision, and this is his reaction to missing out on today's team final.
We as Team Egypt felt pretty confident about our chances to get through to the next round. Unfortunately, we were one fence short of that. I'd like to say that ultimately, we just needed to have one less fence down between the three of us. When you have your back against the wall and you're relying on other people's mistakes, it's never a good position to be in. And so we never should have put ourselves in that position in the first place. But that being said, I do think that, the FEI made a big mistake yesterday. We as riders were not super aware of what was going on because we were, focusing on the class and on our next rider to go. But it came to our attention later on that, the Argentinian rider had jumped pretty far out of the flags over the wall. After the class was over, within the time period that we're allowed to file a complaint, we did file an official protest with the ground jury. Unfortunately, they are the ones who ruled that he was between the flags, or enough of him was in between the flags. And so they dismissed our protest. We went on to appeal that protest, or that decision, let's say. And unfortunately, there is no appeal committee here at the Olympic Games, which is also a pretty ridiculous thing. And so the ground jury agreed to review that incident, and somehow they ruled that the majority of the horse and rider had been in between the flags. They claimed that the horse's left front foot had touched the flag, and therefore, over 50% of the horse had been between the flags where it needed to be to not be eliminated. The slow motion replay is very obvious that actually 3 out of the horse's 4 legs were on the outside of that left flag, and therefore that horse should have been eliminated. Again, this has nothing to do with the Argentinian team. I don't want to get into this or make us seem like sore losers, but rules are there for a reason, and I think everybody should be playing by the same rules.
Does Niall Nasser have a case? Do Egypt have a case?
Sure. I think if you put anyone in Team Egypt's position, they're going to fight it tooth and nail. And dead right, they should. But I think you win some, you lose some, and fortunately for them, they missed out this time. I think it's a pity for them, and I feel for them, but nothing they can do about it now.
Not anymore. Jos, what's your thought? Did you see the situation? Did you see that?
Yeah, I watched it yesterday.
What did you make of it?
I completely agree with Michael. If I was in Niall's position, I would do completely the same. The rules are rules. For sure, if you're just missing out of the final, you fight as much as you can. And I think for sure Niall has a big point, and rules are there, but it's like Michael said, you win some and you lose some, and yeah.
When you watched it, not thinking about how it would, if it would cost them to qualify, yes or no, but when you watched it, when you saw it happen, what did you think?
I straight away said he's eliminated.
Yeah. Michael?
Actually.
And gut feel is often the good one. So what was your gut feel?
Sure. When I seen it, I thought, that looks a bit dodgy. What's going on there?
So we've got 1.5 out of 2 saying that it was out.
And I'm sure Niall would vote for the other half as well. Then. So tough break for Egypt.
And we made the same reaction.
Yeah, I think also it looked even worse in replay. That was the problem as well, I feel, is that the images that are being circulated perhaps further reiterate the point. Because in live, as you pointed out, you kind of go, that looked tight.
Yeah.
When the slow-mos come out, when the replays come out, when the still pictures come out, that's when you look and go,
they needed to take the VAR out after the round.
Where is VAR in show jumping when you need it? So unfortunately, that leaves Egypt out of the mix. It leaves us with, according to Jos, the top 10 teams in the world making it into the team final today.
Not necessarily.
No, well, again, if
the
best team needs to win it, then these need to be the best teams that are competing for it. No? According to the principle?
I think we'll have 2 people here that say that it's not the best 10 teams.
what they were yesterday. They were the best 10 teams, and that's the format that's there at the moment. So they have to work with that.
All right.
And
Fair enough.
yeah.
Who disappointed you today out of the top 10 teams? Who did you watch today and think I expected a lot more coming out of that?
Maybe Team Brazil were, I thought they were. Marlon was very good yesterday, and Pedro Venice, and they're serious competitors. Rodrigo hadn't the best day yesterday, but I thought Yuri Mansour's horse had jumped very good in the individual, and I thought they had a good chance today. But Marlon's horse had a few uncharacteristic mistakes. You can nearly bet your house on Marlon and Edgar. But again, that's like we said, that with this format, it's so exciting, and you're thinking, for sure, Marlon is clear, and then he has 3 down, three down, and then Pedro follows with a couple down, and
And all
they're
of a sudden
completely out.
you're out the mix already.
Yeah, before they started, they were fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So
Me too, Brazil. And I was a bit disappointed for the Dutch. I really hope that they could have been good today, but then you can also see a bit of tiredness from the horses coming up after all those rounds.
unbelievable performance from Harry
Smollett.
Smollett.
Unbelievable.
My goodness.
Cold actually,
What a
jumping
ride.
in, waiting all week, and then the last minute they say you have to ride. Maybe one of the biggest tracks
Yeah.
next to the individual final, going with an unexperienced horse, straight away clear. That's some performance.
Okay, Harry is mentally very strong, but we've spoken earlier today already about the fact that you've got new horses coming in. Shane Sweetnam's horse hadn't jumped, and has to jump a really big track, or a big track yesterday. And you see, it was the same with Rodrigo Pessoa and Carlitos Way. On the other hand, you had Peter de Vos, who jumped a good clear. You had Tebel, who also performed really well yesterday. So there's a little bit of both. But for Smolders, it's even more difficult than those that jumped for the first time only yesterday. They had the warm-up on Monday. Then those that came in on the first day of the teams, they had 3 days of no jumping. For Smolders, they had 4 days of no jumping.
Yeah.
From Smolders,
Monday
that's
warm up, still
steel,
some,
eh?
and straight away in a class
A proper
bigger than a Grand Prix maybe today, and technical with a green horse.
And it
and jump clear.
looked
Mm.
effortless.
Oh,
Wasn't
looked
just clear,
effortless.
you seen a
And
lot of
fast.
people in there today,
Struggling.
pulling, kicking, trying to get it done.
Yeah.
Harry just,
Hunted around.
the light seat from the
Rode
start,
around.
and it was effortless. It was
Yeah.
an amazing round.
Is no one bringing up Great Britain as a question for the room?
Before the game started, I put them very high in maybe even the top 3. But it's I thought with Explosion and Jefferson, they can both do a clear round, and then let's say
Think Holly was the plan, I
and
think.
Holly
Yeah.
could have maybe had 1 down, 2 down, I thought, or maybe clear. But I thought not more than 2 down,
And how
and then
quickly
let's say 8 points would have been riding for gold today. Yeah?
and how
so I-
quickly things change?
It's a really pity that Jefferson.
Because the
pulled
irony,
out, yeah.
the
Moved
irony
out.
is the 2 horses that you just mentioned, the 2 horses that could have potentially put Great Britain on the medal, we didn't see right today. Isn't that interesting? If you think about the warm-up and the build-up to what the team competition looked like for Great Britain, everyone expected Scott Brash on Jefferson, Ben Mayer, Explosion, gold medalist in the individual. They had the opportunity to carry Great Britain to glory in the teams. Scott isn't able to perform, so a change needs to happen. Ben landed up not even coming out today, which again is an issue that we can discuss, whether he should or should not have. Horse well-being versus team morale, perhaps. Did you guys expect Ben to come out? Should he have come out? Was the better decision taken?
For the horse, I think he did the right decision. Okay, but
100%.
listen, it's you can see it a bit on the 2 ways. I
Yeah,
completely
that's
agree
the
with Ben. I would probably done the same in his position, but you're at the Olympic Games.
But in round
You're on
1,
the team
oh yeah,
competition.
sorry, round 2.
Everything counts. Okay, you're riding maybe for the 7th place. It means nothing, but maybe to the public outside, I don't know how they see it, but I think Ben took the right decision today.
Yeah, but if in the how many rounds, out of how many rounds does Ben Mayer and Explosion jump a clear? That's a very high percentage. So you could say, okay, let's put the Ben Mayer in this result. Then they would have landed 5th at this point. With that extra clear of Ben Mayer, you don't know how the competition shapes up.
Yeah. You completely remove your chances by not coming out. Yet by coming out, you're right, you may well end in fifth. He may have had a fence down that could have ended in 12th. You
Could
don't
also have
know.
been fourth.
But
12 is not possible.
oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. But by not coming out, you completely throw it out the window. So I get it that the well-being of the horse is the most important thing, and many could say that he wasn't going to ride for it.
But it comes down to the same story that Jos told earlier. It's teams first, individuals later, and then this doesn't happen.
No, I agree.
So the format again comes back to being the one to blame.
I think in a very long story, I think the drop scores, 3 riders makes it more exciting. It's a little bit of a shorter and sharper class. It comes nearly to GCL. It takes you to the Super Cup where we have 3 horses in a team. So that's quite exciting. No drop scores is exciting. It should be the other way around, that it's first teams then individuals. Full shot carry through to create the shift or the cut who goes through to the individual final, and from there on it should play the way it has been played so far. And I think then we're very close to a very strong format. There's one question. We've had, I have to be careful how I bring this, but it has been about bringing in new nations, and we've seen new nations. Did that add to the competition? And as first I have to say, wow, Egypt was very close to qualifying for the final. On the other hand, they would have qualified on 29 points. Things that happened in that first round with teams that struggled. Did Santiago Varela in the first round of the individuals, in the first round of the teams, did he have to make it too easy for the good teams and still too difficult for the lower ranked teams? So what I'm trying to say is, should the bar be set differently to send in an entire team?
I don't think they should bring the level of the competition down to meet the people. I think the people should raise to the occasion, to the level.
Are you not at risk of limiting it to the same competitive teams all the time, and not giving the teams below them an opportunity to get into that space?
Okay.
Is a tier option a solution?
Do the runners start running a little bit slower to give the countries that aren't?
No. But if you have to qualify, and you're Usain Bolt, and you have to run against 9 other versions of Frederik de Bakker, you don't have to run as fast to qualify.
No, I agree, but the thing is, I think he made a happy balance. He made it quite technical. The height was okay, but like the first individual qualifier, I think was a perfect class.
Yeah.
You had to leave all the jumps up, and you qualified. I think it was good. Nobody got killed. I mean, nobody had crashes.
No. Yeah, but that's.
But anyway, the first day shouldn't be massive. I think you have to. The final, when you get in the final, then, and I think he did a good job. He made it yesterday. The qualifier was a nice class. Was a few clears, enough clears. The good ones were clear. The less riders didn't make any, not bad falls. Okay, there were, but I mean not disasters. And like today was again. I think the course build did a super job this week.
It's also
Fantastic.
important to realize that there are also very different expectations between the top tier nations and arguably the lower tier nations, because we might complain that the lower tier nations get in with, and finish with a score of 50, etc. And then maybe my point of the same top performing teams remain there, because you make a good point, Michael, that's just the dominance of the sport. You can't change that. Maybe then we should be looking at this instead of why can't a second tier nation be more competitive? For them, the fact that they are on that stage is already the achievement. They are now competing with the world's best. That for them needs to be a celebration as an athlete and for their country. No?
I think the qualifying, too, is different. Like I know the Irish team had until this year had missed out on the Olympics for 16 years. And Ireland will be quite a strong show jumping nation, and have been very good and a lot of high ranked riders over the years. But we're competing, when we're trying to qualify, we're competing against Belgium, Holland, Sweden, the best of the best. And I think there's some teams, they're qualifying for the Olympics in a Nations
That's
Cup.
what I
Maybe
mean.
that's a much smaller standard, maybe 150. And I think there was a qualifier here.
And
in
they have to
Valkenswaard.
jump. They have to jump their heart out in that class,
Yeah,
and they won that class with a good result. But it has nothing to do with what they are going to face.
absolutely nothing to do with the level.
That's my
that is
point. That's
Tokyo,
my
yeah.
point.
But that's also a bit Olympics. They want countries all over the world. Morocco.
Yeah, but they don't want a Belgian runner in the 100 meter sprint.
The 1 meter race. I think I could.
100 meter
the
sprint.
1 meter
They want the fastest man in there. They don't want. There's this. I think we all remember there was this one African swimmer.
Yeah,
who,
you also have swimmers that come 3 minutes after the first one. You also have that.
that happened
But
once,
that's-
and since then on, it never happened again because they changed it. So
Is it?
yeah.
Okay.
But again, for that swimmer to be at that stage will be the highest highlight of that person's career. I'll give an example. India, for example, now in the Olympics. India finished 4th in the field hockey and splashed across every front page of the Indian papers.
Who
were-
won that? The field hockey?
who won the field hockey?
I seem to have forgotten. I'm sure you'll remind me, Frederick.
Yeah.
But India finished 4th.
Thank you, Jos.
And to them, that was an enormous celebration. Because we
But
also must remember
but
the
there is-
beauty of sports is that there is more to this than...
Yeah, but it's not about finishing 4th. If India finishes 4th, they performed outstanding.
Yeah,
That means that
it was
they
a good
deserved
country,
it.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at the teams that finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 4th, and 6th, that has got nothing to do with the teams that finished, in this case, 9th, 10th, and yesterday 11th, 12th, and 13th, and 14th, and 15th.
But I think you're always going to have that on Olympics. It's always been there also.
Hey, and we've been unlucky at Olympics, and every nation has been unlucky at the Olympics. If you at the rain or whatever, if something happens, then you drop out, and that's the sport. But I'm just raising the question out loud. 30 clears in the first individual qualifier. I wonder if it was that's half of the field. If it was too light to, and it's actually not 25 or 26 clears and time fault. Sorry, if it's
Too
light,
accommodating.
just like it was yesterday. Yesterday, he gave you the room to qualify for the final on time faults. The Belgian boys and a lot of teams didn't ride the competition anymore. They, like the runners, they opted to ride slower or to run slower, but just finish in front of the other ones. That's just an open question.
Jos made a very good point earlier when he said, the horses also have to be introduced to it. You
Mhm.
can't just build a killer of a course the first day. And
Okay.
even for the good nations, it maybe too much straight away, massive jump and all. I think the course the first day was fantastic because also you've seen some top combinations have a rail.
Yep.
An unlucky rail. Marlon had a super round, had an unlucky rub coming out the combination. Steve had one
Christian
down.
Kukuk.
Absolutely. You've seen top riders still
faults
making
everywhere.
a mistake.
Yeah.
And faults everywhere.
Yeah, that was good, and the spread was fantastic.
Faults
Yeah,
everywhere.
absolutely.
I
To,
think
to continue the shock and drama conversation, can we bring France up? Because at one stage we're in pole position today. We're looking incredibly strong. At the time of the competition, you're at the stage where, I mean, as it should be, but the round by round is having a severe effect on the following riders to come. They were potentially one good round away from getting onto the podium
On
and
winning.
and going
One-
on to win the entire
one
thing.
fault in the hand.
And
One
and
fault in
somehow
the
they
hand.
were nowhere. How do you
Wait,
feel
one
as a
fault? No,
She could have had one down and they still
One
won
down and
Yeah.
a time
Yeah.
fault.
and a time fault and still would have won gold.
So how do you feel as a Frenchman today?
2 down and a bronze.
How do you feel as a Frenchman today going into
Yeah,
that
yeah, sorry,
in
you're
pole
right.
position? You're staring gold down the face.
let's before we go there, how do you feel about the format that the order of the third rider gets turned around?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure about that because actually, there was an advantage. You would have said there was no real advantage to yesterday with the scores. Say Sweden jumped 3 clear rounds yesterday. There was no real advantage to them, only for that they were the last team out today. But then in the end, it wasn't really an advantage to them.
Because that's exactly the same as in the individuals.
Yeah.
Ben qualified as the fastest clear in the individuals in round 1, is the last to go in round 2, and in the jump off, he's not last to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, but it was at least the end of the round, and there was a conclusive result to the end of the first round. Whereas with the teams, they were only 2/3 of the
Yeah.
way through the competition, and it was a switch around. I'm not sure. It didn't really make much sense to me, but yeah.
But for sure, Ben was already thinking the first day about the next day
100%.
to
To be last to go
yeah.
as late as possible. Yeah. So sorry, and because that leads all of a sudden onto time faults. Penelope Le Prévost into that position where she has indeed a fault and a time fault in hand.
Yeah, I don't really know what I was. Yeah, that makes the 3 rides actually very exciting. That you can go from goal to nothing,
Yeah.
to 10th. So, but I was curious what happened with Penelope, because the horse I never saw that happen with that
No.
horse. And those things also only happen, I think,
At
at
the Olympics,
championships.
yeah.
Or at champions. Yeah.
Daniel Doser, Killer Queen.
Mm.
My, oh my.
Another enormous name completely falling away.
Feel sorry for him, no?
Yes.
Oh.
He deserved
Yeah.
deserved actually a good result after all his year and all his
Yeah,
things.
all his hard work.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, everybody worked hard, but
There was an interesting point that was raised while we were watching the live. Now you brought up the time faults and the impact that it was having on the riders today. 82 seconds was the time set in the first round by Santiago Vrela, the course designer. Again, a man who we know well from the Global Champions League. Do you feel, well, let me start here. Do you feel that the time was fair?
Today?
Yep.
Yes.
Do you feel that the time that was given changed the approach from the riders? Because some had the impression that they were then pressing for the time, and that had an impact on their style and their approach.
But should be short on that level of sport.
Frederick, you're nodding away.
I want to hear the rest of your story. I can only agree.
I think on this level of sport, the time should be short, because if the time is short and you have to ride for the time, you get more faults. I think he was right with the time. And also, a time fault could also cost a color of a medal, or no medal.
Or no medal, because that's the thing, and that's why I'm very satisfied about this final round. It was a great class. We had the drama of, for example, Deusser. We had comebacks. We had potential. We had the right team coming out on top. Luckily, I cannot imagine that Sweden would not have won. The right team coming out on top. It had literally everything today. And then it was the technicality. Oh, that course! How you come into that last line, for example. How it had everything. The approach to and from the water. It was all there. It was a brilliant course.
And I think that was also top riding from the Swedish again. You know, when Malin had a fault in the combination, there was still so much to do for the rest of the round. You know, like she had that last line to the double, the water, the wavy plank after. She really had to, you know, when you knock a jump down, maybe some people the concentration can go for a second. She done amazing to keep it together and keep Sweden in the hunt. You know, I think fair play to her for that.
Talking about fair play, King Edward, Hendrik van Eckermann. First round individuals clear, second round individuals clear, jump off clear, no medal unfortunately. Rides one stride too many in the last related distance. First round of teams clear, second round of teams clear, jump off clear.
What an
horse
Olympics.
jumped everything clear. I think the only horse
the
that
horse
did it.
jumped great, but I must say he also rode super this week.
Yeah.
Not one riding fault.
No.
Like you say, maybe in the individual final, the jump off was a pity. Okay, but it also has to come like the
Yeah.
I think in the second he done a good thing too, because you know he really backed up from in the jump off, and he wasn't getting the 5.
No.
So quickly, instead of panicking and kicking for 5 and have to get there, he quickly
kept his mind cool.
Yes.
and brought it home and hoped for, you know, maybe someone to make a mistake that he got on the podium, but it didn't happen.
So we spoke about France falling away, unfortunately. We spoke about the Netherlands falling away, unfortunately. Michael van Vleuten not able to help them over the line. We spoke about Great Britain falling away, unfortunately. That essentially set Belgium up for the podium. And again, congratulations to them for getting onto third, where, especially from a position where it didn't look likely at the time that they may actually get onto the podium. So they will be delighted, and they celebrated. You could see Peter de Vos and the team. They were celebrating as if it was the huge achievement that it was. That takes us to a very dramatic jump-off between the USA and Sweden. A jump-off that actually none of us really knew how it was going to play out. We were all left kind of scratching our heads as to, do they select one rider? Does the entire team go? Was it making... I felt it was very exciting to watch all 3 go out.
How was it in Tryon?
It was
All three.
just going to say it was quite cool to watch because,
It made
in
it more
Tryon
dramatic.
in 2018, it was then a four horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Four horses. There was 4 on the team, but it was like a showdown between America, the States, and Sweden again. So it was nice to see Sweden get their revenge.
Was this better than
Revenge,
watching
is
one
it
if they had
dish
selected
best served
a rider?
cold?
Is that better maybe than watching one? Like if the format was that Team USA selects a rider, Team Sweden selects a rider, it's 1 versus 1 jump off that we've perhaps become more accustomed to in Grand Prix. This to me sounds like a way better way to do it.
No, Nations Cups?
Yeah, normally in the Nations Cups it's 1, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong. I think if it was only 1 today, I think America would have picked McLean, and I think the Swedish would have
I
picked
agree. It would have been the same.
Petter.
And made a difference, yeah.
And anyways, Petter was faster, but I think the 3 is super cool to watch.
Really. And it's quick, eh?
And then it's a team effort.
And
That won it.
Again, yeah.
that is a great point because that way, if for example McLean is selected by the USA, Petter is selected by Sweden, they can go on and win it for their country. That's cool. But you make such a good point. This way now, what a fitting end to have the entire team have to jump their way to glory for a gold medal in an Olympic final. That for me is the essence of team competition. And what a jump off it was, shaving second after second. Did we think that a 39.01 from Peter Fredriksson was possible on that horse with that rider potentially? But was it physically possible, Michael?
Yeah, I thought he could do it. Then to the 3rd fence in the jump off, he made the inside turn 1 to 2. And around to the 3rd vertical, it looked like he
He was behind, I think,
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
last
yeah.
2 fences.
Yeah, and then he got a
He
flyer on
felt
the
it,
second
or
last.
somebody shouted, and he
So
just didn't touch the reins anymore. I think the last 2 fences.
How will USA feel about missing out like that by such a fraction? What did you work it out to, Frederick, at one stage? It was 0.31
yeah.
seconds
Yeah. That,
was
that,
the difference?
that Peter could be slower than McLean, 0.3 of a second. But in the end, I think he was a second 3 quicker. Who is putting the money together for that statue for All In? Somebody has to build him a statue somewhere, no?
I don't have any money.
But you can draw. You can draw the statue.
Looking for his bank card in his pocket, trying to think of it. But what a fitting end to what has already been an incredible season for him.
And the water. Who has got the water jumper like All In?
And he's done it twice now. So in case you
Fantastic,
thought it
man.
was by fluke, he did it twice. He doesn't jump the water. He just runs right over it. It's
Thank
the
Jesus.
He does it. That's the most
And
important.
yeah, he cleared it.
I
Cleared
think
it.
Petter trusts that he's going to do it. I think he's never in doubt.
I
Is-
actually don't remember how he normally jumps the water. Is he always?
There's nothing normal about that. The way he did it today and the way he did it
It
actually.
was really
Yeah.
just over. I think. I don't think
He
it was
didn't,
much.
he didn't jump. He launched himself forward. It's not a yeah.
He didn't take much air.
Hey, I just got a message from Floss Jones, our PR officer. She says, "Did you guys notice the number of women on the podium?"
Team USA, 66%.
Don't worry.
Female.
Don't worry, Floss. I noticed them.
But I will open this up to you because you've always been a very strong advocate of having a lot of female riders, and what a wonderful podium to have. What is it then? 3 out of the 9? Is
Yeah.
that my maths correct?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah,
3 out of 9? So
absolutely.
33% of the podium being made up by really incredible female riders. That's a great image for young girls growing up. We talk about the Global Future Champions Tour that's currently taking place. The
Behind
week, I
us,
beg
yeah.
your pardon, that's taking place at Falkenswaard today. It's young girls that will be watching Olympics like this, looking at Laura Kraut might seem a little bit older, but looking at Laura Kraut, looking at Marlon, looking at Jessica Springsteen, the athletes that they are, I mean, that is an incredibly strong image for young female riders to aspire to.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it's that the picture of that podium is the perfect selling point of our sport. It was a great jump off. We had comebacks. We had riders. I'm talking then about Peter de Vos, the disappointment, then coming back in. There is a great story. There's McLean who set it out as an individual, then comes in to help the team. So you had the team spirit. So there's many very positive takeaways for our sport.
How would you rank the games in comparison to what we've seen? And let's ignore formats. Let's just talk about performances, riders, horses, excitement, drama. How would you rate Tokyo to what you watched before in Rio, London, Beijing, etc. going back? Where does it stand for you guys in your
I think they're
your
all
overall
exciting.
games?
Yeah,
Every Olympics is exciting in my opinion.
it's one to
So-
remember because there is no public. No,
Yes.
That's a good point.
I mean,
because imagine there being 40,000 people inside that arena today.
Beijing with Hickstead winning and
Against
that jump
Ninja.
off, where they jump over the flowers and everything. That was that was
Ninja, the last
iconic.
fence down in the jump off.
Yeah.
Through no control of the organizers, the riders, the supporters as well. But did COVID-19 rob these games, rob these riders of, not to say an even
I
better
think-
experience, because my gold medal is my gold medal, but have
mean,
they been robbed a little
I
bit?
mean, they still win a medal today. They bring a medal home, but to be honest, I don't think it felt like a real Olympics. With no public, the people weren't allowed to go out of the village, only allowed to stay into the village. No, like I think the Olympic Games, I went to Rio, and it's all about the public, the atmosphere. There's people sitting there that never come to show jumping. They have a Belgian flag, they come and support their country, and I think that makes you, I mean, that makes your hair come up in your.
Yep.
That's Olympics, and I think that makes Olympics so special, in my opinion. And that's why I don't think it felt like a real Olympics.
I feel for the Japanese, because hosting an Olympic Games is probably a once in a generation opportunity. The games won't go back to Tokyo in the next 15, 20, 30 years at best. So I feel so bad for them to be given this opportunity, however many years it was when they unveiled Tokyo as the hosts. They won't get this again for a very, very long time.
And I think that's again a little bit where the format went against them, because they were so strong. They had 3 riders in the final.
I have it. You're talking about the team, and you're
No,
talking
I
about
mean
the
the actual
Japanese
country.
nation.
No,
yeah,
I mean the actual
Yeah,
country.
yeah.
Like as an exciting young Japanese person, the Olympics are coming to town, and you watched it on TV like we did in Europe, 5,000 kilometers away. I don't know, it's a lot more
think
than that.
a real pity for the Japanese, because they had every sport unbelievable fantastic. The facilities for the show jumping, the stables, I saw pictures, was unbelievable fantastic. All the other sports was really nice. The Olympic Stadium was really nice.
Yeah.
So it's a really, I feel bad actually for the Japan, the organization, that they had no public.
Yeah, it was not more than that. That people couldn't discover.
Yes.
That was we both saw the cycling. I was amazed by how beautiful the country is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very beautiful.
And this is the joy of it, because Michael, I want to actually ask you. We were chatting a little bit off air about your love for the Olympics, and you've been watching a lot, have you not?
Yeah, a bit of everything. The other day I was watching women's weightlifting.
And this is the joy of it, is that not only would you not have the opportunity in most likelihood scenarios to be able to watch women's weightlifting, but exactly what you spoke about now, Frederick, you get to, through the Olympic Games, you get to witness and experience and consume new things. Have you enjoyed watching all these, I don't want to call them random, because to the athletes it's their livelihood, but to you and I it might seem like more random things on occasion. Have you enjoyed watching random sporting codes like that?
Yeah, I love it. And the one thing that I think is the same in every sport is that all the athletes have been training and preparing for this all their lives.
Mm.
And to watch what it means to, I know a lot of sports I'm watching, I know nothing about it. And, when someone maybe doesn't perform, how upset they are when they do win, how much it means to them. You don't need to know anything about it for that to seem special, or so I enjoy watching every minute of it.
Take a look at the
With the
tears.
Olympics, you can see how nice sport is actually.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
About the emotions from the people.
The power of it.
I think every podium I see, there is emotions.
Yeah.
That I think makes our sport so, or our
Oh,
sport, and
sports.
every
Yeah,
sport,
no,
just
yeah.
sport in general.
Sport is emotion.
It's the nicest thing that there is.
Like, did you see again? Sorry about that. Did you see the Belgian? Is it speed walking? Is that how we call it? When they
Yeah,
walk?
yeah,
And
speed
the
walking.
funny the duck pace. So she's a 38-year-old physics teacher. She came 28th, and Marta van Gramberen interviews her, and she starts crying that she made it as 28th. Now, there's this Olympic, the motto that participating is more important than winning. But the emotion there,
Yeah, it's
Nafi Thiam. Then that brings us to the flip side of the medal. I don't know if we have how much time we have. That brings us to the flip side of the medal, and we shouldn't go too long about it. The pressure, Nafi Thiam, the double Olympic, not pentathlon, 7 times the slalom. She speaks about the pressure. Simone Biles, who couldn't handle the pressure anymore.
but that makes our sport so that makes the sport so nice. I mean, between losing and winning,
Yeah.
it's nothing. And the 1 minute you're cheering, the
You're a
other
hero,
minute
yeah.
you're
You're
Do,
a zero.
do you
Zero,
two as
yeah.
athletes feel supported if and when you're having a tough time psychologically, mentally?
Absolutely, myself and Jos, in a way, come from similar backgrounds where we've a really horsey family, and everyone in our family understands, and all our friends and my boss, they understand how difficult the sport is and how easily something can go wrong, and it's happened us all. And sometimes when things go wrong, their family are there to just put their arm around you and say, it's okay, there'll be another day. And that is, for a lot of the athletes that maybe it didn't work out for at this Olympics, they got there. They're all extremely talented athletes, and they're going to work hard, and they're going to be back there again and fight for.
and the real athletes, they get stronger out of it.
Yeah.
They're gonna work even harder to.
But okay, when you, just a question, when you became European bronze medalist, European team champion, you got thousands of messages. How is that when you ride a Grand Prix and you come out with 8 or 16?
You always have a lot of friends if you win.
No, yeah, but I don't know that. But do you have people who then stand up and say, hey?
I think it's always the same people you come back to.
But that's a small group.
I have always my people like that I trust and I work with my horses, and it's very important also for me that I always can go back to the people that I'm confident with and that know what they're saying, and that I grew up with, and that I feel that I always go back to them, and it's always the same. I think if it goes bad, you always go back to the same people.
Do
But
you
I-
get negative abuse is what I wanted to
Well,
ask?
that's
Like
what I
how do
wanna
you
come to.
how do you deal with that if you come, as Frederick said, let's say you come home in 16 and I go in and write a message and say, oh, you're useless, you're a terrible rider. I mean, that must weigh on you. Do
Oh,
you
I already had when I was younger. I was very young when I got a few times selected for a championship. That you get criticism, that people say you shouldn't be selected. Before I really cared about it, but after a while, if you get experience and you just leave it behind you and you just focus on yourself. It's a bit like Peter told you that he was gonna shut off his phone.
Yeah.
It's a bit the same. You just concentrate on yourself and you don't care on the people around you.
But there happened. We come back to the Shane Sweetnam topic. What happened was a catastrophe. What is happening now is just as big as a catastrophe. I find what I read and see on social media, what we see there makes me sick.
Yeah, absolutely. But even like Jos said, getting some bad messages when maybe he was selected for championships and that. Jos is only a year older than me, and I remember being picked up from school and going home to watch the European Championships in Aachen, and Jos was only a year older than me riding there, and I'm a kid in school, so it's a lot of pressure, and yeah, I think there's no room for abuse.
because
in
what would have been nice for Simone Biles, what would have been nice for Naomi Osaka,
Yeah.
is instead of the reaction being, this individual is costing us and you're a terrible show jumper, etc., is, we're sorry to hear that. How can we help you? How can we make it better for you? So now to hear you, Michael, say that
Yeah.
you have a very supportive group of owners and family and friends and bosses, etc., like that is the attitude that we wish we could sprinkle around more to make it more encouraging and welcoming.
Definitely, and whatever happened, the circumstances, I don't know, but I know Shane Sweetnam is a ultimate professional, and he's been working his whole life to get to an Olympic Games. And when you get there and something goes wrong, it can happen. And I don't think abuse or negative.
Yeah, exactly. What
negative,
happened should not have happened,
yeah.
but what is happening now shouldn't happen at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there should be someone to put the arm around Shane and say, it's going to be okay. And
I think also everybody deals a bit their own way with it.
Mm.
The one needs a hand, the other guy goes quicker over it. It's everybody deals, I think, a different way with those kind of situations. I think.
As we begin to reach the closing points of today's session, I do want you to start thinking about some closing thoughts on the day and what stood out for you, what you'll remember. While I quickly just point out our winner today, by the way, we have a wonderful Global Champions League cap on our table in front of us. Every single session of our Global Champions podcast, we've been giving away a signed cap that has been signed by the two riders that are in attendance with us today, Michael G. Duffy, Jos Verlooy. They've signed this cap. We have selected a winner on social who needed to repost our story for the Longines Global Champions Tour. They needed to tag their friends, and of course they need to be following us as well. And the winner today is Cameron Dougal. Well done, Cameron Dougal. You'll win yourself a signed cap by our two riders in attendance today. Frederick, I will leave you last because I like to give you that opportunity. Michael G. Duffy, before we thank you and say goodbye, closing thoughts today, memories to take home. How would you wrap up the day?
I thought it was a great day of sport. Sure, there was ups and downs, and some things we didn't expect, but in the end it was amazing sport to watch. And thanks guys for having us here and being here to watch it. It was super cool.
In 2 years' time, people ask you about Tokyo Olympics. What's about and show jumping? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Yeah, we even spoke about it today. People putting years of effort into it, and might be a dream. But even myself, I'm thinking about it. I've an 8-year-old horse at home who I have a lot of hopes for, and we're already thinking about it and we're working towards it. I was at home in the Sandrina the day of the individual final, training with Franka Slutak with my good 8-year-old Klitschko, and I said, wouldn't it be a good story if we can say in 3 years' time, the day of the last individual final, we were here training for the next one. So, a lot of work goes into it. So when I think Paris, I'm hoping I'll be there.
And when somebody asks you about Tokyo and says, in 2023, before Paris, what will stick to your mind about Tokyo?
Tokyo? I don't remember. There was no Irish there.
That's also an answer.
Did it happen? I don't know.
What happened in Tokyo?
There were Belgians in Tokyo, and they did very well, in fact. Jos, your closing thoughts for today? What will really stand out for you?
A very exciting day. The best team won, and I'm happy that Belgium has a medal. They really deserved it after all their performance that we're doing all year and few years already. And I'm very happy that we have a medal.
Frederick, for you, closing thoughts, dramatic jump off, deserved winners.
It's good that you say thoughts because I have many. First of all, Olympic format. The FEI changed it. There were talks with riders that weren't heard. Everybody was against it. Kian was very vocal about this format. It has shown that the format as it is now doesn't work. So this is, to look at it from the positive side, it's a unique opportunity for every stakeholder in the sport to step up and to make a difference and to say, hey, this is how we're going to make the Olympics for Tokyo. This is for Paris. It's a unique opportunity. I think, though it wasn't in the normal Olympic format, I think we've seen one of the greatest horses in the history of the sport win Olympic gold. Explosion. I think we've seen I have never seen Milton, but I have seen Explosion win in Tokyo. I think,
and that'll be the story you'll tell kids in the future.
I think so. And then I'm delighted for Belgium, and I'm impressed by Sweden. So I have a lot of thoughts, but it's format, and not in that priority, but in that order. It's format, it's Explosion, it's Sweden. That's.
And those are the memories you will tell in the build-up to Michael G. Duffy coming out in Paris 2024.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be great. Michael, thank you so much for your time today. Really, we've had such fun having you here for the afternoon and being able to watch the final with us and share your thoughts and pick your brain. It's been really cool having you, so thank you.
Thanks a million, lads.
Yeah, Jos, you too as well. Thank you for joining us. I know it's been a busy day for you. I hope you enjoyed every second, and we've really loved being able to just chat to you.
You have
Thank
to
you
go to
very
the TV studio now, no?
Yes.
That's the advantage. Because you were shortlisted for Tokyo. Unfortunately, Igor wasn't fit. How is he doing?
He's good. I showed him yesterday at the national show.
Really? Ah.
He's coming here in 2 weeks for the global, and then I'll take him. Hopefully, if I do the Europeans, I take him as a second horse to the Europeans, and then I'll do Rome with him, the global. Then he should be ready for the bigger classes.
Oh yeah, because now we can close the Olympics and we can go into our trifecta of London, Valkenswaard, Hamburg.
We have a really busy couple of weeks coming up on the Longines Global Champions Tour, as you mentioned. London coming up next weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Still a few tickets available, by the way. We've been talking about that this week. So if you want the opportunity to go out and watch some of these Olympians come back to the Longines Global Champions Tour and participate in that, we have some tickets available for you for London. And what a busy spell of the season now, as you say, with back-to-back events and the LGCT Grand Prix title up for grabs and the GCL really starting to heat up as well. We have some fascinating, I want to say months, but it's probably going to come down to weeks, really.
Yeah,
some fascinating weeks.
And 4 Olympians rivaling for the championship. 3 of them trying to win the historical 3rd LGCT championship title. Both Ben, Scott and Edwina. So it's going to be an exciting few months.
And those will be stories that we will tell for you here live on GCTV. That essentially brings an end to today's podcast and ultimately to our Tokyo coverage of what has taken place over the last couple of days. So thank you to you two again. Thank you to all the riders that have joined us over the last couple of days. Frederick, always cool to have you. Thank you very much. Fantastic to be hosted again, as always, at Tops International Arena here in Valkenswaard in the Netherlands. We will be joining you back again in a couple of days for London live on GCTV. So please do join us then. Gents, thank you. Have a wonderful day and congratulations to all of the riders and all of the winners today in the team's final. It is us signing out from Tops International Arena. We hope that you enjoyed all of our coverage of the Olympics. Bye-bye.